All right, thank you one more time. The program stay here this morning on ITV. Now, as we speak now, the president is about departing Nigeria. Talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Equatorial Guinea, whereby he's going to be received in Malabo some few hours from now by the Equatorial Guinean Authority. And it's all about bilateral relationship with Equatorial Guinea. Now, that relationship has been spanning through for quite some time. And you know that Nigeria as a nation and Equatorial Guinea, the both lies on the belt of the Gulf, region and all that. So it's something that at the end of the day is going to benefit Nigeria as a nation if we as a nation and of course the authorities of Equatorial Guinea can actually, just stay put on some of the agreements that are going to be reached today in that meeting. Well, to discuss this morning, President Tinubu's, the Tinubu departs for Malabo, that's the capital of Equatorial Guinea, the challenge of oil security, all that focus. So that's what they're going to be talking about. So we are so privileged to have Chris Ojekere, a public affairs analyst, and also a politician. So you're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
You know, when the president leaves the country, he visits a foreign nation, it's a national issue because citizens back home, they want to know, they are so interested, what is he going to do there? And how will it benefit us back home? So let's pick it up from there.
Well, bilateral relationships are forged so that you can have mutual benefits to both nations. And they're also forged by a foreign policy. If, as the president of the country, you have a particular foreign policy that you think will serve the interest of your people and your country, you look for nations that share similar policy outlook or policy views. So Equatorial Guinea and Nigeria have a lot in common. And you could have a lot of mutual benefits coming from this relationship. If I were President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would I go to Equatorial Guinea? Yes. I would go there to learn, and then I would go there to model, policy for my oil industry. But there are upsides and downsides to this, because you have to study Equatorial Guinea's own trajectory of growth. For 5 years, Equatorial Guinea has had a growth trajectory that is the best in Africa.
In the oil sector?
In the entire growth trajectory, especially in the oil sector, 80% of their revenue is from the oil sector. But the irony of it is that while their GDP per capita is growing, and they have about, in fact, over 75% growth rates in the GDP per capita, they are one of the lowest income earning nations, paying nations in the world to their citizens. And so you have a balance that is an irony. While the nation asset is growing and the nation resources and reserves are growing, the citizens are becoming poorer, or the citizens are not earning enough money. What it means is that you have massive corruption going on among the leadership. So that is what we don't want the president to go there to learn. Because when your per capita income is growing, the citizens should begin to feel better standards of living and better conditions of living. Now, but they have a model that we can copy. The model of having what you refer to as a shared contract between them and whatever foreign national they sign agreement with. They determine the quantity of production to be produced. Then they take taxes. They get royalties. They have a refinery that is working. In fact, their capacity of production is over 30,000 barrels per year. It's just 1996 that they discovered oil, so you can't compare them with us. Yeah. But when you check their growth trajectory from 1996 until now, you are going to commend them. So, and that policy document was drafted by the Ministry of Mines and Hydrocarbons, which they have there. They export gas. We have the largest concentration of gas in West Africa. Even at those states, it's where the the largest portion of that gas is domiciled. But we are not exporting gas. We don't even have gas for local consumptions. So if the president is going there, I expect that he's going there to look at their models and how it is working for them and impacting the citizens. Because the president must always go, whatever journey he's making, whatever policy direction, is always, how does this benefit my citizens? So, but I will go, as I said, to go and study their gains and to ensure that I avoid their pitfalls. So, Equatorial Guinea has that, relationship with us in the sense that they are not going the way of the world. They believe they have a future in oil. So they are not too bothered yet about alternative energy sources. I should expect Nigeria not to copy that.
All right, now,
yes.
For the purpose of this discussion,
yes.
we're going to be more on, the challenge of oil security in the country, because that's the major reason why President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is in Equatorial Guinea this morning. Now, it is not the first time that a Nigerian president is visiting that nation. I remember former President Buhari also visited Equatorial Guinea about once or twice, still on the same issue, trying to secure oil thefts, oil issues and all that. Now, what do you think are the issues? Back home now, Niger Delta and all that now, where do we start from? I mean, so that this visit probably will be the very last, that a Nigerian government will visit Equatorial Guinea, then we don't talk about insecurity in the oil sector anymore.
It's very funny. When oil industry is a holistic industry, and if you lose out some loose ends, you can't control the other. Now, first of all, you must understand that the oil thefts, Asari Dokubo used his own press room in the State House, on public television before the world, and accused the military and the Navy and the security forces of the ones stealing our oil. They used the president's press room in State House in Abuja. And the president is looking for going to Equatorial Guinea. Political situations and political conditions differ from community to community. What is responsible for oil theft in Nigeria? It is lack of institutional governance in the oil industry. The people, the NNPC PLC, which is what it is now, that are put in charge of regulating our oil, one does not have even the expertise to be able to measure the quantity of oil we have in the deep sea. Two, we don't have the technical expertise, even if we measure, to be able to operate the engineering for exploration of oil. And this has been going on for years. We have refineries that are not working, which has left a loophole for you to be able to now have, modular refineries that are illegal, run by boys from the Niger Delta. So there's a theft there. Then the multinationals come in to our high seas, and we don't even have the capability to be able to know that. And they steal our crude from the high seas. The people who should take care of all of that is the security forces. So if you have institutional failures in terms of institution, if you have lack of patriotism in terms of the country, why are Niger Delta boys stealing oil? Because they feel that their region is marginalized. They feel that, so they don't feel a sense of patriotism to the national government. And that's what we talk about, resource control. Yeah. And we're talking of devolving power to the states, so that the states will feel that sense of ownership, that regional ownership. If the state, if the region, Niger Delta region feels a regional ownership, and they see oil as their base, and they see oil as their resources, they will tackle oil theft. They will not allow, because now those who steal, they say we are stealing our oil. They should not take our oil to Abuja to develop Abuja. They don't have that sense of patriotism. So it's a holistic issue. We are not going to think or assume that we just get to Equatorial Guinea and then the Guinean president will sit down and say, do this, and stop it. It's a political question, and it's a communal question. If the people of the Niger Delta feel that the federal government or the Nigerian government has taken care of Niger Delta enough, developed Niger Delta enough because of the oil they are producing, Niger Delta themselves will protect the oil. Okay. Because they know that that's where the resources is coming from for the development. Yeah,
Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea, yes, they both lies on the
Gulf of Guinea. Yes.
Now, when we talk about oil thefts in Nigeria, most especially in the Niger Delta, we understand that at times some conspirators even come from Equatorial Guinea to mingle with these boys and all that.
Yes.
Don't you also think that Equatorial Guinea as a nation also has a role in helping to safeguard our oil in Nigeria?
No, we are not barring that. But you have just given an example of the former president who went to Equatorial Guinea and he didn't stop. Because when you don't deal with the causes, you are trying to deal with the effects, then you will never going to get the solution.
Yeah.
You have to look at the holistic causes. That's why I say it's holistic. So now, in every nation, even America, that pride themselves in, American dignity and all of that, you still have those who are dissidents, who are, selfish, who want to benefit themselves at the expense of the state. So you're always going to have thieves, you're always going to have criminals. But the government of Equatorial Guinea have been able to make their citizens know that this is our largest source of income. And this is what is even making us notice. It's a very small, tiny country. It's the discovery of oil that have put them in the world stage. Now, and to a large extent, there is that sense of patriotism, and then their security forces are safeguarding that national assets. So, but you're still going to have dissidents among them who want to make money on the side for themselves. What is the cause of that? Because as I told you just now, you have the per capita income growing in Equatorial Guinea, but it's not translating. If it is translating, you won't have dissidents from that small country. You can have dissidents from Malta, for instance, from Brunei. Those are smaller nations that are high oil producing nations. Because everybody is rich in Brunei. Everybody is rich in Malta, so to speak. So that's why you don't have such things. But wherever you have corruption, where the state takes over the national assets and resources, and then the citizens don't feel it's transferring to them, you're going to have uprisings, you're going to have responses, you're going to have reactions as you have, and they will come in different forms.
But the kind of reactions we have in Nigeria, we probably don't have it in Equatorial Guinea.
We are exposed, we are large, and we are politically convoluted. Let me tell you, NNPC, before now, I don't know what it is now, almost from the first, the minister those days, when Buhari was there, when Kachuku was there, was booted out, conspired against and booted out, to the fourth director or whatever, we're all northerners. The Niger Delta people see that it is their oil, but the northerners are the one benefiting from it. That is why Atiku said he will privatize the refinery. We have discovered now there's a cash cow. So in Nigeria, you are going to have conspirators from other regions who will conspire with people from Niger Delta. And as long as it's benefiting those criminal-minded people, once crime is paid, it's difficult to stamp it out. So you have a sophisticated country. It is not only Nigerian people who are interested in the oil. We have a lot of Yoruba people who are interested in the oil. We have a lot of outside people who are interested in the oil. We have, if you go and look at the list of those who have oil wells in Nigeria, you have very few from the south-south.
Now,
they are from the north and they're from the southwest.
Yeah, let us digress a little bit. A while ago,
I'm looking at the causes of why you have the insecurity. Yes.
Now, Ojikere, what would you want to say it's actually responsible for? I mean, Equatorial Guinea, a West African nation like Nigeria, just as you have said that while we have the GDP growing, the per capita income keeps on going down. What would you say about African nations? It is almost the same thing with Nigeria.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it?
Apart from the world-known evil of the black gold, everywhere you have the black gold, you have massive corruption. That's what's going on in Russia. But how have the Middle East been able to manage their own? It's not as if Libya's Muammar Gaddafi wasn't making so much to himself. But what would the poor man on the street complain when he has housing free, he has education free, he has medical bills free, he has good roads to travel on? And so why would he complain? Why would he want to know what Gaddafi is taking? Once you don't have equity, equitable distribution, the country knows how much we are making from oil. So people want to call it an African problem. To a large extent, it could be. Because, I mean, even if we are cited Russia, you cannot say that the average Russian is living below poverty levels the way we say in Nigeria. But Nigeria not only has oil, we have all sorts of wealth generating resources, whether from mining, whether from marine, whether from the forest. Nigeria is overrich. And the government is involved in all of this. They're not even declaring to you how much they are making from all of this. So you see your leaders living super rich, and the poor are wondering, in this same country. So, like Niger Delta, because it's closer to them, it's affecting their farms. It's affecting their marine life. That's why they feel it more. And they know. And they see the activities that are going on. And they know the quantity that is being... That's why you find them more restless than every other part. Every other people you find, a lot of ignorance does not even make them know what the federal government is making. The other day I was on radio in KUFM, and I was trying to tell them when they keep talking about the money that they sent excess money from the removal of subsidy to state. I said, the system of revenue sharing is wrong in the first place. Now, later, the governor of Oyo State came to say they've shared money only once, and it was money that was saved, that was brought in for COVID-19. That's to put the record straight. So, with such injustices and lack of equitable distribution, so it is not only in Nigeria, but it's worse here because we are 200 million people. We are the giants of Africa. We are super rich, and then we are louder. We are always at the international scene and all of that. So every other African country is looking to Nigeria to get it right. But it's happening in little ways in their places. In Zimbabwe, in Congo, in Angola, so Kenya, that led to the Kenya, what we now call the Kenya Spring, the Kenya Uprising. So it's happening, it's an African, it's Negro cruelty, where the leaders have this sense of entitlement. Maybe it came from our patriarchal society.
Yeah, but let us be careful with that now. Some African nations don't like that. I mean, we have the likes of Rwanda.
Rwanda is trying to get it right.
Yeah.
So we are not going to condemn forever African nations. For instance, I still have strong faith in Nigeria, but this is the current situation. So we are doing analysis on the current situation. Now, we are hoping that Africans will get it right. But we have to expose how it is not right now for us to be able to get it right. Rwanda is trying to get it right. They have taken the right indices, education, technology. That's what Edo State government, for instance, is trying to do. Education, technology. Because transparency is ensured, not 100%, but to a larger extent, when people are educated and they are operating technology. So we have to go that way. Now, Zimbabwe tried to get it right, but John Magufuli, who was trying to push that, was taken out. This brings us to the question of neocolonialism. Much of this problem is from the West. And now it's from the West still, even whether Russia or the United States or Britain, the global North. It's from there. Much of the problem we have. So you find that the other day we were having our own internal demonstration, and should I use the word demonstration, rally, protest, and people were flying Russian flags. They have influence, they've been influenced. And that influence didn't start within Nigeria, even if the ambassador tried to defend it. The influence couldn't have started within Nigeria.
But we also ought to know that that's a bad move. I mean, that's
what I mean. So that tells you that there are foreign influences operating there. Those ones were ignorant enough to come up with the flag. But if we have that number of flags on the street, that tells you the degree of indoctrination that would have gone on. That's how, when Boko Haram was coming, ISWAP was coming with ISWAP ideology, Boko Haram was coming with the Boko Haram ideology. It came out like this in bits and pieces, and we thought it was nothing. Before we knew it, Boko Haram was taking over the space. So it's an ideology. The communist ideology is coming from Russia. That is why you have so many people carrying Russian flag. How much is Nigeria investigating that now? I don't know. So point we are making.
We understand that some conspirators have been arrested.
They've been arrested. You're arresting malams that are holding flags. You should look for those that have brains.
Names have been mentioned.
Do they know they operate in different levels? So that if you arrest this man, he confesses only the people he deals with. And that's why we've not been able to stamp out Boko Haram and stand for Israel. Those are ideologies. They begin and they are masterminds who sit down, do all the plotting. How much is our security people trained to all of this? And how much is the government complicit in all of this? What's going on in Zafara? The government continues to pretend that they don't know what's going on in Zafara. Mining is going on in Zafara. There are wrong ways in the forest, which farmers see in Zafara. Foreign nations are coming to mine gold in Zafara. It was going to be happening in Edo North. Obaseki took charge of it. People come, containers just come to Akoko Edo backyard, Auchi backyard, and then minings are going on. Obaseki took charge of it. So we control our mining now in Edo State. So the point we are making is people must understand that nothing is in isolation. Until you deal with it holistically, you won't find the solution. He will go there and say, okay, what do you do about it? But does Equatorial Guinea have the political cleavages that we have? Does it have the kind of heterogeneous community that we have.
That we have.
Yeah, so he must find that all of those things have to be addressed. Equatorial Guinea is homogeneous to a very large extent. So you understand, because they divided from I think Guinea-Bissau or something. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the point. So we must understand that you have to deal with all of these things holistically.
All right, so
yes.
as we wrap up now, the visit is supposed to last for 3 days.
3 days.
I think by Friday the president is going to be back and all that.
Yeah.
So apart from the fact that you said here that he should take some good things back home, here's the chairman of ECOWAS, Equatorial Guinea and Nigeria, members of ECOWAS and all that. So which other things do you think he can bring back home that is going to be beneficial to the ECOWAS bloc?
The hydrocarbons. The gas, the natural gas. I say we have the largest concentration of natural gas in West Africa, and it's domiciled here. We are flaring it in our refineries. We should have all houses in Nigeria piped and running gas. We're just concentrating on the petrol and the diesel. The gas is cheaper. So Equatorial Guinea is exporting gas. Now, Equatorial Guinea, the entire country, is not as large as our forest.
When you say the gas is cheaper, recently the gas is really not cheap in Nigeria. I mean,
that's what I mean, because government has not invested in it. So government has to invest in it, and because we have in so much quantity, we are going to have,
excuse me.
Yes, we are going to use lesser cost to produce, and you're going to have more than enough to produce. So government has not paid enough attention to gas. Now, gas should be running our vehicles and cooking our food, domestic use. Now, the entire Equatorial Guinea land space is not as large as the forest in Nigeria.
Yeah, it's a small nation.
Yes, but they are exporting timber. It was deliberate, it's a deliberate policy. If they are exporting timber, why are we not exporting timber? With all the huge forests we have in Nigeria.
All right, so we want to say a very big thank you to Chris Ojekere, a political analyst and also a public affairs analyst, for joining us this morning. President Tinubu is going to be in Malabo any moment from now. He leaves the country today to Equatorial Guinea. That's Malabo, the capital of Equatorial Guinea, and meeting the president there, the authorities there, to discuss ways on how to secure the oil industries, oil production and exploration in Nigeria, and also for gas too. Chris Ojekere, thank you one more time.
Thank you.